So men, stay away from high-risk activity women. Women, stay away from no-activity men who don't do anything and don't build themselves up and just sit on the couch playing video games all day. Unless you're streaming and making
Broke boys don't deserve
yeah.
no kitty.
So that's why I said
right.
that's why I said earlier, men get judged for what they don't do, and women get judged for what they do. That's why a girl's first argument.
I was hoping you were going to say doo-doo.
That's why. That's why the girl's first instinct when they go to clown another girl is, oh, you slut, naturally, because they know that's bad. And when a guy clowns on another guy, it's, oh, you broke
bitch.
joke, you broke, like, yeah, you bitch, you're not going to hit me if I hit you back. Like, it just naturally comes that way, and you can't argue against that, because that's like, when I hear girls argue, the first thing that comes out of your mouth, oh, you're a hoe, oh, you slut. It's just like, okay, why are you saying that without even like subconsciously thinking about it? They know that you engaging in those activities makes you a higher risk, lower value. And a guy not engaging in those activities, being a broke guy who is a bitch, is just lower value, higher risk activity. I don't want to be around any guy. Like, if you look at my circle right now, every one of my guy friends can fight off 3 grown men at one time. Yeah. They are violent, capable individuals. They don't look like it.
Most of your girlfriends could fight off.
That's pretty damn accurate. I've learned that after
I've seen Emma punch that punching machine.
Yeah, it's kind of terrifying. So
I'm a teddy bear.
That's why I surround myself with high value people. None of my female friends are just actively doing high risk activities, just bouncing back and forth between 5 dudes a week. None of my guys are just sitting around, not in the gym, not working. Every one of my guy friends is grinding. Every one of my female friends is just becoming the highest, best, pure version of themselves.
Everyone in our group has a really good character.
Yes.
Very strong character, I believe.
So how many people are engaging in high-risk activities that don't deserve it? I mean, we do a lot of fun stuff, but that we deserve it and we celebrate.
But we celebrate.
We gave up portions of our life.
Yeah, but we're not like
to be able to
stealing.
do that.
Yeah, and that's the thing is like we're not stealing from someone to enjoy our life. Like we've earned everything that we're doing.
Yes.
You know, we're not manipulating people. We're not backstabbing people. We're not doing any of that.
We also gave up a portion of our life to be able to build a foundation to even do these things right now. I get a lot of hate where it's like, oh, you spend a lot of time traveling in the club, but it's like, okay, well, from 18 to 23, I wasn't able to even get 2 to 3 hours worth of sleep every night. And there was portions of my
I know
life,
that I've talked to you about that a lot, where I'm like, Justin needs to talk about that more, because I hear from people in our small community, oh, he's just out partying all the time. Oh, how does he even get any work done? He never works. He's always out partying. I'm like, well,
you only see the highlight reel.
You didn't see the behind the portion because you kept so quiet about that. You put your head down and you were working your ass off. You weren't constantly bragging about every teeny little, every little like sale you made when you were selling real estate.
Yeah.
So, it wasn't until you hit a certain
25.
point
until I hit a millionaire, nobody knew.
Until you hit a certain point, that was finally when you're like, hey, I've started to make it. Now I'm going to start celebrating. And then we've gotten to be there with you to celebrate with you on all of those big come ups. But what a lot of people don't understand is how much work had to go into that. And I feel like a lot of people don't talk about that, like the millionaire in the making. I mean, I watch your TikToks. You don't really talk about how many hours a day you work. You didn't talk about how many hours a day you worked on average when you first got started. And that work day, if you're going to hit a millionaire by the point that you want to hit it, you're not working an 8-hour work day. You're not working a 9 to 5. You're not doing Monday to Friday. You're not doing federal holidays where you're off. You're working your ass off. And I think it's really important to talk about that.
That's why he's here right now, because he's like the spitting image version of myself when I was 21. And that's why I pretty much brought him around you guys. Because he's doing exactly what I was doing, but with social media that I was doing in real estate.
Well, and I know you're probably, how many hours a day do you work on average?
More than 9 hours.
So
8 hour
prime
work
example,
shift,
I started yesterday at about 8 a.m. Okay, and we didn't finish recording until about 2 a.m. yesterday. So we put in that's a that's a 16 plus hour day.
Yeah.
When I clocked out at 2 a.m., he still did another hour's worth of video.
Well, and you're doing the editing, you're putting everything together.
No, he did a whole nother company, a whole nother side. This is a whole nother side company that he has. Okay, let's put it this way. He's got his millionaire in the making.
The Vesper Studios?
So he's got his millionaire in the making. He's got his day job that you sometimes work. What other, your marketing business, God, I can't even keep up. You're kind of like me. You got so many different things going on. he didn't have that much actual extra time. So at 2 to 3 o'clock in the morning, he works on his final company. And that's exactly what I was doing when I was 21, where it was like, okay, I just banged out 8 hours of cold calls. Now I'm going to go do 2 or 3 listing appointments. After that, I'm going to go to the gym. After that, I'm going to go socialize with one of my friends. After that, when it's 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning, and I got to get up at 6, I'm going to do 2 or 3 hours worth of paperwork that I neglected throughout the whole day, where it was like, okay, dope, I got 3 hours of sleep last night, 4 hours of sleep. Screw it. One day I'm not going to have to do this.
Well,
Right.
and I know I had a conversation with someone the other day where they were kind of picking on you, and they're like, why are you even friends with him? And I was like, so Justin and I have been friends, for anyone that doesn't know, for about 8 or 9 years now. And when you were first starting in real estate, I was getting started in insurance. When he was making those cold calls, when he would get those listings, one of the first things he would do would say, hey, I have my girl who's insurance. Give her a call. She can get your insurance premiums down. And then that's going to help make your listing look even better. So he wasn't just doing the work for himself, but he's always consistently been trying to refer people out and trying to help his friends come up as well. But I think in the age where you are right now, one of the biggest pieces of advice that I give to people that are working really hard is to be very, very careful of the partners that you pick. Because if you get the wrong female, she can completely derail you. She can add a lot of stress. She can add a lot of anxiety to your life. You're not going to be able to work as efficiently when you've got this other shit going on in the back of your head. And guys, I mean, y'all don't multitask quite the same state that we do, because I can be pissed off and upset about stuff in the background, but I can still be working. It's so much harder for you guys to do that. So I think for men who are in their early 20s, it's so critical for you to pick someone.
I feel like it's riskier for you guys too, because you do have to go for those younger girls,
Yes.
where we are more selective, which are young, they're older
let
men.
me back this up and just reinforce everything she just said, because she gave me that exact same advice 3 years ago when I went to go wife up a high-risk activity female who almost burned my entire empire down. And after
Literally.
3 years, she's still a problem after being broken up with for a year. So me ignoring her advice right then and there cost me almost 3 years of growth and development. I still was grinding, but I was like, I had nothing but resistance pulling me back, because I had a female actively trying to destroy my social life, actively trying to destroy my mental health, actively trying to destroy my finances. Every aspect of my life, this girl said, I'm going to hurt you.
Versus if at that age, you would have picked a girl who had the same vision as you did, who said, okay, I'm going to help cook meals. I'm going to do grocery shopping. I'm going to do everything around the day that takes away from what you have to do.
I'd be probably worth an extra 500 grand, million right now.
Oh, absolutely.
But I will say that did happen to me at 18 years old, but it could have went either way. That's why you just don't get shacked up with a girl who does high risk activity.
I have a question.
You don't get shacked up with a partner in general that does high risk activity.
Yes.
I have a question for the men. So, and this could probably end our podcast today, but so we are taught as women to not give men wifely duties and wifely responsibilities until we're locked down.
Wifely benefits.
Wifely benefits.
Yes.
So do you guys think, as a high value male, that we should give those right away so that we pique your interest as like
I don't think
an
to the full
actual
extent.
option?
No,
Because you got to think
Or like,
about
what do you
dating.
think like a woman should do to get y'all's attention?
Let me tell you right now. Let me answer that one. So traditionally, if men wanted sex, they had to marry the girl, which meant a year or two of courting minimum to get sex because she was a virgin. We don't have that nowadays. So most guys know that the girl's not a virgin. So if you try to actively play that game where it's like, oh no, you got to take me out on 5 dates, and it's like, you can tell when a girl's just withholding it as a power move rather than like a chemically natural, we're going to actually do it because we want to. That will turn off most guys and say, she's just playing games. But if you naturally are just a girl that says, I'm not going to give it up until you put
And
a
I'm talking
status
about
on
just
this.
like,
Cooking
for you,
Okay,
maybe
so-
doing your laundry, making
so
your bed,
you
like all
should
the
be
wifely
you
stuff.
should be leading with that after like the first or second date. You should say,
Okay, so
you
give
should-
them the
you
wifely
should-
duties.
The wifely duties, but without the physical. Like
Okay,
you're
yeah.
not giving.
They get no
you're not-
cookie.
They get
See,
no cookie. So
I-
until no, let me take my advice on this one, because if a girl.
'Cause y'all don't have time to waste.
Most of
Like,
the
you
girls
need
that
to
have
be
impressed me in the
wifey
past couple
material.
of years have been the ones that made my bed the next day. They made me breakfast without even asking. I naturally go out to eat 3, 4, 5 times a day. So I'm like, okay, cool, we'll go grab breakfast in the morning. The girls that have stuck out in my head are the ones that say, hey, while you're at work today, let me go straighten up your house. And I've got somebody who comes to my house every 2 or 3 weeks to clean up and straighten things up. I can handle that myself. But the girls that have impressed me the most that I wanted to wife up and take seriously were the ones who gave me those wifely, they demonstrated that they are that, instead of saying you have to put in 6, 7, 8 months, 2 years, 3 years worth
and
of
even
work.
doing that early on was attractive to you.
I agree with what you're saying.
But don't sleep with him. The wifely privilege that you guys are talking about, it isn't the cooking, it isn't the cleaning, it's the access to your body. Okay. So
I think it's all of the above, but
it's
I want to
mostly
hear Gage's.
let me finish on that, because having a guy wait for those sort of wife access things. Imagine if your guy said, no, we have to be married before I fight off the intruder. You know, that sounds so, or if he says, oh, we got to be married before I buy the first date or buy the first dinner. If you flip that around, it sounds absolutely ridiculous. So the only real leverage that a girl has is when she sleeps with a guy. You hold every little bit of power until you sleep with that guy, because then at that point you have to retain that guy's interest. Mm-hmm. See, you're making him fight for you up until the moment of, you giving up your body to him, because there's a high chance you might get pregnant after that, which means you want to keep this guy around to protect and provide for you. So the moment you give up that one key aspect, you lose. But you better pick a high quality guy that respects that. So make him wait a month, 2 months, 3 months, but don't do it as like a game. Say, I want to really get to know you, and really just don't give it up too quick, and that's going to pique his interest.
So like the other wifely duties is like a plus though. Like you guys like that right away.
That's if you come over and you say, second date, hey, let me come cook dinner at your house, or hey, while you're working, I'm gonna come spruce the place up, and then we can have dinner tonight. Mm-hmm. That's the same thing as a guy saying, I'm gonna take you out to dinner Saturday night, and it's gonna be some nice restaurant, steak dinner, wine. That is the exact same balance of power. Okay. So if you want the guy to take you out to a nice steak dinner with wine, you need to be okay with coming over there and maybe straightening up his house and cooking dinner. Mm-hmm. And that is the
because we are taught to not do wifely duties for somebody.
Yeah. I really want Gage to answer, and then I would like us to answer.
Absolutely. Let's do that. Well, playing off what Justin's saying, right? On both parties, it's an audition. So why would you not be on top of your game?
Yeah.
I mean, the sex thing, obviously giving up your body, that may have a lot to do with your religion, your morals, all that other stuff. But like the wifely duties that you're talking about, why wouldn't you be on top of your game now? Mm-hmm. He might drop you because he's not seeing what he needs in you.
Right. And that's kind of like why I wanted to ask y'all about that, because I feel like the difference between a high value man in that aspect versus a low value man, because I feel like a low value man may not appreciate it as the way he's supposed to.
Absolutely not.
And he'll just see it as a woman trying too hard, chasing him when he wants to be the one pursuing.
I will.
It just makes us look bad.
I will use a real life. I'll use a real life scenario that you guys even.
It makes us look like clingy. Almost.
I'll use a real life scenario to back this up. The last girl that I got into a relationship with that you guys all knew, she didn't cook. She didn't clean. Her animal wrecked my house. Mm-hmm. I was taking her out to dinner every night, taking her on trips, making all these plans, doing everything to my power. She wasn't doing anything of substance back. Almost.
So I believe
and it made me mad.
I'm gonna take out the actually connecting with someone, having sex with the opposite sex, out of the wifely duties. I'm talking about cooking, cleaning,
that's what I was talking
folding laundry, like that type of stuff.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Like the thing is, I can do that. I can do all those things, but I'm not going to come in on the third or fourth date doing those things.
Nope. Same.
At all. Okay, so the guy that I'm seeing that gave me this ring, he has cooked for me twice. And within the very short time, we really haven't seen each other that much. We're both entrepreneurs. We really get to see each other like once a week.
And personally, I think the man should bring that out of you. If he's the right guy, he will bring that out of you.
And he did.
Yeah.
Let's put it,
So he did do that. He cooked for me. He gave me this fucking ring. I mean, and then the food he cooks amazing. And how I can show my appreciation and be completely selfless in myself because I want to show that he's a great man. Of course I don't mind cooking. Yeah. Of course I don't mind taking those bones out and bagging them up.
Because he's that guy.
Literally, as I'm doing that, I'm cleaning the kitchen and it's all done. And he's like, I have never had anything like this. I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, I've never had a woman clean up after me like this. And I'm like, really? And he's
ding, ding.
Well,
ding.
and I'll say so.
Sounds like a match made in heaven, dude.
I don't normally do those like wifely duties and stuff early on, but I will say the right guy, when I'm in the right relationship and my needs are being supported, I will find out for that guy what those gaps are that he needs to have filled, and I'll make sure that I'm helping fill those.
Yep.
There you go.
So
right, because you're also getting what you need out of that relationship
I know
too,
for
which is
you,
fair.
the biggest thing that a girl could do to help you is to cook for you and help clean up after you. That's not all guys, though. So some of the other guys I talked to, I mean, I had a guy that I was talking to when he got sick. I brought a whole ass care package over to his house of, you know, all of the vitamins, cold medicine, that kind of stuff with soup. I'm like, okay, here you go. Like, I'm going to help take care of you. I'm going to help fill those roles. But I think the important thing is to find out what that is for that person. For you guys, it may be cooking and cleaning and filling that role.
For every dude.
But for every guy, it's different. So I think one of the best things that you can do as a female is to have those conversations early on and say, okay, so in regards to your life, what are things that you would want your partner to do for you? And I think that's such an important conversation to have.
You may
early
honestly
on.
just pick up on it.
Yeah,
being
and
around him too.
That's what's really happened with us is he sees...
You'll see the frustration or the area where he doesn't want to do, like you said, like you cleaned up after like the dinner.
And he didn't expect me to do that whatsoever. But in our relationship, he came into the relationship and he saw my life and he's like, how can I basically 10x you? How can I make you better? And he is already doing those things. And it's like, I just want to give what I can because what I am giving, I don't feel like it's even enough.
So let me reinforce that and say most high value guys, it's going to be something that's going to be motherly, that's going to impress us. The cooking, the cleaning, because the way that we value that is if we have a son one day and he's hungry or his diaper's dirty, are you going to be cooking and cleaning for him? That's how we view that. If you come over to my house and it's like the 5th, 6th date, and I've taken you out on 2 or 3 steak dinners, nice dinners, and showed you that I can provide that value, I try to fix your car. If there's a check engine light, I'm getting that fixed right off the bat. If you don't even help me clean my or make my bed the next day or do something like that, naturally, I'm not taking you seriously.
Yeah, no, a high value woman will naturally do that.
They will naturally. I want you to naturally. I will, like the same way that you pause for a guy to hold the door open is the same way that I say, is this girl going to volunteer to make the breakfast or do the bed? And here's the thing. In my last relationship, I got up an hour early before her, went and got breakfast, and I made the coffee every morning.
All the time.
She like, I wake up earlier. Just like my view is whoever wakes up first makes the breakfast and makes the coffee. That's just whoever wakes up first does that. That's how I've always done it. I'm not the biggest fan of cooking when I'm on my grind. I go out to eat. I get like Uber Eats delivered. I just like, I would like to come home to a nice home cooked meal, but if we're both grinding, we're going out for dinner. It's the same thing. So fill the cracks, but the way that you audition men for holding open the doors is the exact same way that I say, okay, is she going to make my bed? Or is she going to, clean up my kitchen a little bit? And I don't even mean that in like a misogynistic way. It's more like do you want to do that? Because I can hire somebody else to do that the next day. It's not a problem.
Instead of saying it like that, because that just sounds so raw, let's just say it as, am I going to take care of this woman? And is she going to be selfless in herself to do the things that I like? I think that's a way better way to say that.
So the way that I see it is I've given up probably a decade of my life to build a foundation to make sure me, my grandchildren, and my great-grandchildren are going to be okay forever. The girl can take 5 minutes to make a bed.
All right, but taking what you're saying and pulling all this together, you're on your shit. Her dude probably on his shit. But the majority of men are not. So if they look at their women, they're like, okay, why are they not giving me what I need? It's probably because they're not.
You're not that guy, and you need to build yourself.
Well, and the thing too is I've done that for some men, and they see it as almost like I'm trying too hard or something. I don't know how to put it. Like
that is the
she's trying too hard. She's chasing me. I want to be the pursuer. Like, or just like, taking advantage of it.
That is the wrong
for the most part. Yeah.
So we are the first ones to down on men. My target audience is telling men how much of a crap they're not worth. And that's 80% of the guys on this earth are not worth their weight.
I mean, we're just being realists. Look in the mirror. Evaluate yourself.
Yourself. So
women will tell them
at that point, that's why I just tell women, it's like, you don't have to play by the same rules as guys. Guys have to grind their whole life. it is so much harder for a guy to build himself up for value. That's why we're so much harder on guys. That's why, that's why him, for example, Millionaire in the Making, he's encouraging young men to get on their grind and showing them how he's doing it. The same way that I've been preaching to young people over on Snapchat for 10 years now. I've never really focused on the female audience. It's always been guys, get in the gym, get to work. Delayed gratification.
Delayed gratification is the key word because girls need to focus on that too. That whole delayed gratification. You can give in quickly to these young guys who don't deserve it, but if you delay, and for girls, it's a sense of gratification too. When you're in your early 20s and you're getting, and this happened to me a lot when I was in my early 20s, I didn't give it up very easily. I got passed on by a lot of guys.
Good.
At that young age, even then I was like, I don't really care. I mean, yeah, there are times where it's like, well, fuck, that sucks. It's like the 12th first date I've been on in a month and these dudes aren't calling me back. But as you get older, it's like, okay, those dudes obviously weren't worth my time.
Yeah.
And I wasn't going to give them the quick, easy lay that they wanted. So they passed on to the next girl who would be willing to do that. So I think it's important that delayed gratification is an incredibly important thing. And if you look at psychology, the ability to delay your gratification is one of the top things that will make you successful for both men and women.
Yeah.
100%. But our delayed gratifications is two different playing fields.
Absolutely.
And
So
that is, the guys that you don't sleep with now on the first dates are the ones blowing up your phone. Probably.
That's why the quick come up doesn't
It's
work.
the exact opposite. Back when you were 20, the guy that you didn't sleep with is probably like on to the next. Now the guy that you don't sleep with is
like,
blowing
holy
up your
shit.
phone. He's like, oh God, she's different. Okay, okay.
Oh yeah.
Dope.
Oh
They're
yeah.
shaking on the next date.
Tenfold. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So I kind of want to go back a little bit on. Let's just say everyone's not on their grind right now. Let's just say if you're in a situation where you just can't grind as hard as you would want to, and that's a few years in your past. So what can you do right now to take care of your woman to maybe get a little bit extra out of her? So like if you borrow her car, go buy a 99-cent air freshener and put it in there.
Fill that damn tank
Please.
up.
Yeah, please.
If you guys are watching Netflix, if you're hanging out and watching Netflix, grab her feet and rub her feet for 5 minutes. That's all it takes. I mean, literally, we went to EDC Orlando and Justin had a massage gun massaging all the girls' feet.
Yeah.
It doesn't take money. It really doesn't. To make females happy, it really doesn't.
No,
Look,
it
guys,
really doesn't.
Me and her touched on this podcast for the last one. When I was 18, the only way I could compete with the older guys is that I always hold the door open for women. I never let them cop the check, even if it meant I wasn't going to eat the next day. If I took a girl on a date when I was 18, I was like, okay, if I pay for her, that means I don't get to eat tomorrow, but that's going to put me ahead of the pack for everybody else who's 18. Holding the door open, making sure that, we talked on this last night, being on the opposite end of the inside of the street. So you want to face, you want to be close to
You want to be on the side of
when
the
you're
You want to take
walking,
the hit. You want to take
you
the
want to
hit.
be the one
talked about
closest
that
to
in
the
the
And I
cars.
podcast
talked about
today.
this today, actually.
The sidewalk rule.
If you're a guy that's not exactly, you can be a high value guy and not exactly be rich. You
So-
can just have high morals. So make sure when you take your girl's car, I'm a firm believer in the girl should never touch anything in her car. If that check engine light's on, you're failing as a man. If her tires are bald, you're failing as a man. If your girl's gas light is ever on E, you're failing as a man. You can fix that yourself. Fix that check engine light. Go change the tires yourself. Change your brake pads. Fill the gas tank up. Be a man.
So
Be a man.
Never let a guy disrespect your woman either. If a guy comes up and touches your girl in any appropriate way, you better start decking him.
Even if you get your ass beat, you still.
You better swing.
One of the quickest and easiest things I'll say for guys that you can do to impress your partner, make her feel good. And this is something that one of the early guys I dated was amazing about. If we were sitting around watching TV and he got up, he'd be like, hey, I'm going to the kitchen. Can I get you anything?
Dope.
That
really
was
nice, yeah.
that
The
was
little
amazing.
thoughtful things,
and that's
yeah.
something that now as an adult I carry over into my relationships. If we're hanging out watching TV and I'm getting up, hey, I'm going to the bathroom, can I grab you anything? That's such a big thing. And it doesn't seem like it's that big of a deal, but as you get in that mindset of providing for your partner in any ways that you can, obviously the ways that men and females provide for their partners is different.
Yeah.
But as you start to get on the level of where you're providing for your partner, no one's going to be unhappy.
What's
But
the word? Starts with a C. What do you call
compromise,
this?
compassion.
No, it's an old word from the old days.
Chivalry.
Chivalry.
Yeah.
Chivalry.
There we go. Chivalry is not
Chivalry
dead.
should not be dead.
Yes. So watering your partner like a plant.
Yes.
And
Nurturing
giving and just
them.
giving selflessly. It's not
Yeah.
like, oh well, they haven't done anything for me.
And
Well,
it takes-
maybe they're waiting for you. You know.
And like little acts like that mean so much more from a man too, because you got to think outside of just logically providing.
Yes.
Like you think what would she like, and you actually put a little bit of thought into it because naturally men just want to provide and protect. But at that point, you're like thinking, what would she like in this?
Well,
moment?
that even goes down to like, hey, I'm going to the grocery store. Do you need anything?
Yeah.
It's such an easy thing. Like,
Even when she says no, show up with her favorite drink.
Yeah.
Guarantee
Yeah.
you'll have
Ice
heart
cream or
bubbles
something.
all over your
Publix
name.
Yeah.
has $3 bundles of flowers for $3.
Right, yeah.
You
Yeah.
can make
Something-
your
just
girl
something
smile.
a little
Yeah.
thoughtful. And
So-
again, that goes outside of just the normal, provide and protect. It's like, okay, well, she might like this. and
Free
grab
game
it,
on
so.
this. You guys have actually inspired my standards over the past 3 years because you guys have treated me nicer than almost all of my past girlfriends.
Oh, I'm the biggest person. I'll bring Justin food all the time.
Oh,
Like,
it's so
I know
fucking
Justin's
nice.
love language, and I'll be like, hey, I'm making red beans and rice. Do you want some? And he's like, oh my
I'm about
God,
to cry.
Angel.
Like, I'll literally almost be in tears. I'll be like, I'm so hungry, please, yes. And that goes both ways. I never let them. I always hold the door open when I can.
I'll just say after meeting you guys, my standards for men
I usually
have gone
comp the
up to
bill
here.
when we're always. I try to at least every time.
I get him sometimes.
We fight for it. She's gotten me, I think, like twice in 10 years.
Twice
Yeah.
in our entire friendship.
You have to sneak it with Justin.
Yeah.
Oh God. Yeah.
You have to get above sneaky because
Yeah.
there are restaurants now that we go to that I'll be like, here. And they're like, no, we won't take your card.
Good luck doing that. People have tried that on me.
Dang.
Good luck.
Brick and spoon works.
Try doing that at Ichiban with me. It ain't happening.
Yeah, no, they won't take your card at Ichiban.
Yeah.
But no, and I can say the same thing. Like, as much as we have led your standards, that's why it's so important to surround yourself with the right people, because I know that my standards have gone up in the past couple of years because of
Same.
who I've surrounded myself. I know the same has happened with you, and the more your standards go up, the better you treat your friends. The more their standards will go up, the better they'll treat you. And then you'll eventually hit the point where we're all at now, where we're like some unstoppable, unfathomable
And they're looking
beasts.
out for you too in
Yeah.
those relationships, and they'll be able to pick
Absolutely.
and see those things. Yeah.
But I'm just like, now when guys open the door for me, I'm just like, okay, well, the least you can do is open the door for me.
That should be the
Right.
standard of entry,
Right.
the bare minimum.
Yeah, like for me, and we make this joke all the time, but modern dating, the bar is at the floor. That is not the case with me. The bar is set pretty high, and it's not getting lowered because you can't reach the bar, because I know there are people out there that can.
Absolutely, and that's one thing you need to remember is just because you live in a place where most of these people aren't reaching your standards does not, I repeat, does not mean that they're not out there. Do not lower your
Yes.
standards.
It's
Yes.
1 out of 100, you have the same problem in almost every city where it's like, oh, there's no good quality people around me. It's like, no, you might not just be a quality person. You need to elevate yourself too.
A lot of
because a
people
lot
have-
of the high
yeah.
quality people might just be avoiding you.
And
Harsh
that's,
truth.
that's another thing is this universe is a reflecting of yourself.
Yeah.
And if you're like, oh, all I get is shitty people, let's evaluate you.
different affirmations.
You have to change something up. You keep doing the same thing, nothing's gonna change.
Are you
Why-
really a good friend?
Why are you going to the bar to try to find these people? Why are you not like trying to improve yourself first?
Facts.
What do you offer to that relationship, women or female?
What's the literal definition of insanity? Continuing to
Yeah.
do the same thing and expecting different results.
Yep,
I
absolutely.
will say this from the outside looking in, and you guys can agree or not agree. I've had several comments over the past 6 months, 8 months, a couple of years actually, that I have such a magnetizing, powerful presence where it's like you almost want to just naturally do better because I'm working so hard to better myself that it's like, if you even want to be around me, I need to see that exact same level of performance from you.
Yeah.
Well,
Almost.
I can share some firsthand knowledge on this. So we go on like a yearly friend trip. The first year, so I guess it's 2 years ago now, we went on that. I brought a friend with me who I was like, introducing to the group, like maybe this could be a potential partner. He obviously fell very short. But while we were on that trip, when we were like going home, he was like, damn, I thought I was doing really well. And like when I compare myself to my friend group, I'm doing really well. But when I was sitting with your friends and they're all talking about everything they have going on, I'm just sitting there going, damn, I am like way behind in the game. What have I been doing?
He was in his mid-30s too as a guy. Mm-hmm. Which is important why a guy needs to start at 18 because you have that energy to take those L's.
But it's why it's so important on who you surround yourself with. Because a couple years ago, you and I made the pact that we were going to surround ourselves with such an amazing group of people. We're like, we want to be some of the least successful in our friend group. We just really want to attract nothing but the highest quality people. And so the friend group that we have built now is just such an amazing, strong, independent, confident, supportive group of people. Mm-hmm. Like, there is not a single girl in our group that's trying to tear down anyone else.
Absolutely not. We were actually talking about this last night on our podcast. Is nobody in this group's here to backstab. We're all here to like build each other up, and it's really nice, you know, to be able to support, like 100% show up as my true authentic self.
Exactly. And trust the people in your circle, be able to tell anybody anything.
Absolutely.
And no judgment.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And know that they're not going to try to use that against you or try to use it as a way for them to come up later.
Absolutely.
I mean, I'm new, coming from the outside looking in. This is very rare. Like, personally, I think this is very rare. But I also think that you guys are speaking like this is easy to create. This is not easy to create at all.
No, absolutely not.
Justin and I had to purge 99% of our friend group 3 years ago.
So it takes a lot of effort. But
it takes a certain kind
the
of
whole
mind, too. Like, you have to swallow that pill.
gratification. You know, you can have the low
it's again the delayed gratification.
The low-hanging fruit friends that are going to be at the bars, that are going to be partying.
That are going to be physically holding you back.
I used to hang out with those girls. Like, I used to hang out with these girls, and they would just kind of all party and this and that, and then they would kind of talk shit about you when you would leave and stuff. And I finally decided, no matter what, I'm just not hanging around those people and not talking to those people anymore. And they go through their highs and their lows, and like when they're in their lows, they still try to reach out to me and be my friend, and I just don't even open their messages anymore. It's just, you had your chance. You were a really bad friend to me, and whatever I allow in my life, I just encourage it, and I'm not I'm not allowing that any longer.
Which is strong. Agreed. So, as you're correct, it is not easy.
No.
But most of the things in my life that I have that are great didn't come easy. So, if you want that strong group of friends, you're gonna have to put the work in. If you want that successful life, you're gonna put the work in. If you want a high value girl or man, you're gonna have to put the work in.
You're going to have to put the work into yourself.
That too.
Yep.
Right.
Yes. So, you know, we're about 2 years in since that decision. And I was just telling this to the girls at dinner with tonight. I can't think of a better decision that I've made in the past 5 years than that one at that brunch table where we said we're going to just build a network of strong people.
Oh, absolutely.
Every property that I've bought, every business I've taken over,
I still have the picture from that that specific brunch where we were like, from this point on, we are only surrounding ourselves with the best of the best.
That's your contact photo in my phone. So that was the number one decision I made almost probably in a decade. I've got one other financial decision where I bought 10 apartments. That was my number one bread and butter.
Even I told you not to do that.
This is number 2. This is my second best decision I probably ever made in my life was I'm going to stop hanging around low quality people, low vibration people, and I'm only going to surround myself with nothing but excellence. You know, you don't have to be the richest. You don't have to be, you know, making the most money. I need you to just have a strong, rich, wealthy, moral foundation.
So what do you say to people that say,
ethic?
Yeah, what do you say to people when they say, oh, but these are my friends. I grew up with these people. They've been around for 10 years. Yeah, I can't cut these people off.
So me and him just had this exact same conversation.
What am I supposed to, I can't cut my family off. These are my people.
It's a long talk. You need to watch Million in the Making episode number, 1 or 2?
I think it was 2.
We went into it for like an hour.
I'll go on a quick cliff note.
Do like a 1, 2, or 3.
I like to shake the tree is what I call it. Mm-hmm. So if I have a group of, let's say, 5 or 6 friends, I would say, hey, guys, here's what we're going to do. We're going to go sober for 90 days until each of us have $1,000 in the bank, or I have $1,000 in the bank.
So you challenge them.
We do a challenge. Like, I know we did Sober October between all of us, and most of us did great.
I did not.
Most of us did great.
I made it pretty far.
I decided not to even do that.
So we were just doing that for fun. But I mean, like, let's say we have 4 guys that are 18 years old. Let's say might be the group leader. You're the head of the pack for them. You need to tell everybody else under you, we're going to go sober until we get 10 grand each in the bank. Whatever friend doesn't want to follow you, they might not be your friends.
Well, the important thing that I would like to point out with that is as you hold the people in your circle accountable and you say, here are the standards, we don't accept less than this, the people that aren't going to rise to that bar are going to take care of themselves.
Yeah.
Okay, so what happens when, because I went through this a little bit, but I want to know if you guys did as well. What happens when you set that bar for yourself and nobody in your friend group matches it? So now you're lonely.
The wrong friend
Now,
group.
so now
Justin and I were besties, and it was just the two of us for how many months?
So you're lonely,
Wow.
and you're just by yourself. What do you guys? What have you been saying to yourself in those times? How do you get yourself through that?
I didn't meet Lindsay until I was like 6, 7, 8 months into it, and I was 100% lonely, but I deserved to be lonely.
Well, and you have to, it's the delayed gratification. You need to keep your end goal in mind. Mm-hmm. What is your end goal?
What helped you do that?
You can't focus on the right now. I had a whole vision board. Mm-hmm. Justin and I would have multiple conversations where we're saying, this is what we want out of our life. And we actually got the idea. I don't know if you remember this, but one of the things Justin did when he first got started in real estate was as he would meet someone that was very successful, he would buy them lunch. Mm-hmm. He would say, hey, can I buy you lunch? And it's not, hey, can we go out to lunch? Hey, can you do this for me? It'd be, hey, can I buy you lunch? And then he gets an opportunity in that lunchtime to pick their brain. And most successful people are willing to extend that time, right? It's not that big of a deal. We got the idea we did because he was doing that. And I was like, what if we take that same mindset and apply it to our friend group instead? What if we say, okay, so from now on, we are going to invest our time, we're going to invest our money, we're going to invest our effort in only the people that are successful and are going to help make us successful. That's how we built our friend group. It's as you raise the bar and you're full steam ahead and you've got that vision in mind and you're saying, I'm not going to accept anything less than that. Mm-hmm. When you're doing that, you'll have a lot of people along the way because we lost a lot of friends that were like, oh, you're getting too big for your britches. You have no loyalty. You're selfish. The selfish is a big one I got. How could you be this selfish? How could you be this selfish? I have my end goal in mind. I'm not going to let anyone else hold me back. And a lot of people will use all sort of excuses. We're family. You owe me. I've been there for you through ... And
You've changed.
That may all be true. And yes, I'm changing because I have a vision of who I want to be. You can join me. We can do this together, or I'm going to do this by myself. That's
the biggest one. Whenever somebody would say, oh, you don't have time for me anymore. It's like, no, I invited you to walk this path, but you were pulling me back. Mm-hmm. And if I was sober from 18 to 21, my come up was when I was 18, I said, I'm going to have $100K in the bank before I touch a drop of alcohol. And I lost almost all of my friends. But then I got introduced to an entire powerful group of friends that were all 30-plus business owners because I decided to just stop hanging around trash. Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, like, the friends that you have right now, you might have outgrown them, and they might be holding you back. And it might be, they might be calling you selfish because you don't want to surround yourself with them anymore. They are the selfish ones for holding you back instead of walking with you. I give people every opportunity to say, we're going on a 6-month run. We're going to be sober for 3 months. Come with me because here's where we're going to be. Let's go to the gym for 6 months. Hit it 3-4 times a week. It's going to suck the first month, but here's where we're going to be and here's who we're going to become.
And as you fill your schedule and you have less free time, when those people hit you up, you can say, hey, yeah, absolutely. I'm going to be at the gym from 3 to 5. You're welcome to come join me, hit a workout with me. The people that are serious about improving their lives are going to join you and they're going to follow along. The ones that aren't are going to make an excuse for why they can't go. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I will say that I had a lot of problems growing up with people that would always ditch and make excuses. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I do not have that problem anymore for some reason. When my friends say they're going to be somewhere at 7 o'clock, it might be 7:15. It might be 7:05.
It's always 7:15.
They're going to be there.
We have a 15-minute beauty buffer. Okay?
Yes.
Yeah.
So
I would say half hour.
None of my friends ever just no call, no show anymore.
God, those
Nobody
are the worst.
ditches. We take a lot of expensive trips. Everyone shows up. When I was younger and me and my friends would plan to go snowboarding, we'd have half the group ditch, and all of a sudden people were having to pay double.
Well, we had that 2 or 3 years ago where we planned a whole snowboarding trip. We had a bunch of people that were going to go, and at the last minute, Justin and I were the only two left. They were like, thought we were going snowboarding.
Yeah, and then we ended up piecing together pretty much our group after that.
Yep.
And now I feel safe to travel. I feel safe to go out because I know that I'm in competent company. Mm-hmm. The bar has been set. And I mean, you've noticed that lately.
Yeah, I have. And the one thing that I take from this conversation is she said lonely. And lonely is a big part of that. And if you can't handle the lonely, I don't think you're cut out for it in general.
Mm-hmm. It's all the delayed gratification. And you can start that with small things, like Justin said, 30-day sober. You can start it with easy stuff, cutting sugar out of your diet, cutting small things out, delaying that. Mm-hmm. Intermittent fasting. There are so many different things that you can do to delay that satisfaction, that gratification for yourselves. I think getting comfortable with delaying that and getting comfortable getting comfortable with knowing that what you get out of that at the end is going to be so much better than what you're going to get out of it from the beginning. Yeah. For guys, the girls that are going to put out on the first date, what you're going to get out of the girl that doesn't necessarily do that is probably going to be so much better than...
Well, the girl you sleep with on night one versus the girl that you sleep with 3 months later, it's more rewarding to you.
I've been on both ends of that. I promise you the 3-month one, she's the girl you take home.
I also think that there's different levels of loneliness. I was in a relationship for 3 years, and then within that last year, I was with somebody, but I was lonely because I stopped going to his friend's house and hanging out with him and doing what he wanted to do because he wasn't giving that back to me. So I took that time to invest in myself. I was spending time by myself comfortably, knowing that I was with somebody, but I was really growing as an individual.
The wrong people can make you feel lonely.
Let me tell you, the worst loneliness is being in a room full of people and feeling alone.
Yeah.
I'd much rather be in a room just alone in general.
Yeah.
I've been
being in a relationship and having a person sitting on the couch next to you going, oh my God, alone. I wish I would give
I was alone right now.
Here.
That sounds like hell. And I've been there before. So
that really sucks.
It really does. But, you might experience a little bit of loneliness, but it's really just a period of growth. Imagine, you remember back when you were 4 years old and your feet and your knees and your legs hurt so bad? It was growing pains.
Oh, well, my mom has an even better example. The caterpillars that cocoon themselves. Mm-hmm. They cocoon themselves. They're completely alone, completely isolated, and they have to 100% trust that process, that what they come out of the other side of that is going to be so much better.
Yeah.
And it always is.
Growing pains.
Okay, I have one more question. We were talking about Gage being the younger version of Justin. So at this moment in your life, you see Gage as a younger version of you. What do you see in his life that you could give advice on him that he could make better in a sense? Like you see him working and grinding. What's one thing that you...
We talked on this the other night.
Okay.
One, I waited until I was 25 to create a super group and just a group of people that were positive. You started at 21, which is fantastic. I mean, you skipped the curve extremely by me, like running into me and just asking. I would say you are working yourself into a hole.
What do you mean by that?
I mean, you were up till 3 o'clock in the morning working last night.
I'm kind of, I don't know if you noticed, but I've been crashing this whole podcast.
Hey, let's put it this way. Before your Europe trip, when was the last time you actually celebrated your success?
See, it's different, man. I don't like celebrating. I haven't done shit.
Let's rephrase that.
Hold on.
He thinks he hasn't
because
done
he just said something.
He has a higher standard.
That was a mirror of the same conversation you and I had when we first met. Was me inviting Justin out to do something to celebrate, and he was like, "I haven't done anything worth celebrating yet."
And I almost got $100K in the bank whenever we were having this conversation. So it was like, I felt like I wasn't doing anything because I was holding my standards up to here. In reality, I was here, but everybody else that was around me was here, but I wasn't comparing myself to everybody else.
So when I hear Justin kind of say this, I also I try to break things down, and what I hear him saying to you is you're working really hard when really maybe you could bring some people in here and there to kind of relieve some of that so you catch up on your sleep and or get to spend more quality time with friends and family and loved ones.
Which we're kind of doing right now because we're working while doing that.
Yeah, but this is work.
But I would just say, you've hit 250,000 almost on your TikTok. You've been working. Set a time. I've got a rule where it's like every 3 months I go to a festival or I go on a vacation. It's non-negotiable to celebrate life because from 18 to 21, I barely remember those years because I worked so hard. I gave up my life.
It is about the process too, like being able to really be present in that and not be so goal oriented. Like I used to be really bad at that, where it's like I couldn't enjoy what we were doing now. I was too focused on what's next. This isn't good enough, when really it's like
being present.
Let's just take, half a day or a full day to take a breath and just say, this is really good. This is where that I'm saying this. This is where that I'm not working. I'm not used to this, but let me do that. And then after like a few months go by, I look back at that and say, I'm really glad that I did take that time,
Well, and one of the things that we started doing when we first started our Goal Getters group, it was like every 6 months, we did like a weekend getaway at least. Mm-hmm. So we did a Blue Ridge trip where I think it was my bucket list before I turned 30. And I was like, I want to go whitewater rafting. So I invited my friends with me. I think that total trip cost us less than $500 a person.
It was 100% worth it.
And we went on like a 15-mile we had a nice cabin. We went whitewater rafting. We did hiking. Like we cooked. Just the amount of like fellowship that we had there, the amount of just group bonding was so important. So yes, you talk about now you go to those festivals, which gets more pricey. I think it's important to point out.
It could be anything.
If you have the right circle, you can still do stuff like that where it doesn't cost you the same. You could go camping. I mean, you could accomplish this. You could take a weekend. I do think it's important.
We're going snowboarding in mid-January. So it's just more stuff like you and your friends just went to Europe and y'all made money while doing it. Mm-hmm. That's what I'm saying.
It is important to appreciate what you've accomplished as you're accomplishing it.
You and me follow a different path in life because we can work from wherever we want as long as our phone is here. That's what I'm saying. Like, you just went on a 3-week vacation. So you're good now, but it's like, I noticed about a month ago, I was like, he's redlining himself. You need to appreciate the work that you've done, but not get complacent with it. You need to recognize that, the average 27-year-old, his net worth is $7,000 and you're 21. And I guarantee you your net worth's a lot higher. So you are light years ahead of the pack, but I'm not trying to puff your head up. You definitely don't need to get complacent, and I won't let you get complacent. You need to direct some of that energy into celebrating a little bit of the success. Otherwise, you're never going to be appreciative of what you have. Right. I hit 100K, and I was like, okay, dope. Yeah, cool. Went on a party spree, but then I got right back to work, and I was like, okay, what's the next goal? And I had to give up another 5 years of my life, where it was like I didn't even really get to enjoy my life.
I remember your $100,000 like celebration when you celebrated that, and then your next one you're like, all right, it's $1 million.
I mean, I understand everything you guys are saying,
10X.
but for me, it's almost like, I don't know if you would think this is a sickness. My mom said I'm sick, but like, I genuinely enjoy this shit.
Oh no, I enjoy the shit out of it.
Staying up till 3 a.m. knowing that I'm the only fucker up, that fires me up. Like that gets me going.
100%.
Going to a club. No,
okay, let's rephrase the club. Snowboarding.
I mean,
everything. We're not always degenerate. It's just something that's that I find fun. A balance of work.
I think we do a healthy balance of degeneracy.
Yes. So
I skip it. Like I go every third weekend.
Yeah. So like that's what my thing is. Like every 3 months, I'm going to either a festival or like a vacation, something like that. And I'm just going to let loose for a weekend and not even think about work. I'm still working. God, I can't stop.
I will say this, like being an entrepreneur, and I've even tested myself in this. Like I was up writing an ad one time and I was getting my graphics right and I was getting my ad targeting right, and just everything was just the way the pieces needed to come together. And I was up till 2 a.m, but sitting at my computer, hitting the submit button and it all going through and together, and like I just sat back from that and I just felt like the biggest smile on my face, and I was like, wow, like this feels so good. And I just knew that being an entrepreneur and being successful, setting goals and accomplishing them, I had to have that ad out. That was my goal. Mm-hmm. Having that done at 2 a.m., it just made me feel so good. So I definitely get where you're coming from, when it's like, I love to do this. So
well, and I also used to get a bit of an ego boost. I'll say when I first started my marketing company, I would work 12-hour days, sometimes more than that, because I had side jobs while I was working, doing what I was doing. So knowing that I was working X number of hours a day more than the average person, it was like a sick sense of satisfaction. I was like, I know I'm going to hit my goal so much faster because I'm working so much harder. But you do have to be careful with the burnout, because I think that is a real problem with young entrepreneurs, is you can get so focused on the end goal. Sometimes you don't appreciate the journey.
Well, I also think that like being able to take a break, you let more creativity come into your head and you have ideas that you never even experienced because you're so tunnel vision on accomplishing so much and being able to just unplug for a day or two. You have so many amazing ideas. And
I get my best ideas when I'm at a festival or snowboarding or surfing or out riding jet skis and the brain is just flowing. But I'm not trying to tell you, just force yourself to party. It's more like you should set a goal where as soon as you hit 275,000 on TikTok, you're going to have a weekend where you just go wild. Celebrate. You can go, snowboarding. Whatever that means.
Eating nice dinners, hanging out with friends, not
Dude,
going to the club.
When you hit like 300,000, every 100,000 followers you get,
I'm going to go wild and sleep for 36 hours.
Pop 2 melatonin and get 12 hours of sleep. God, that's
so crazy.
Insane. But you get what I'm like. I set goals for myself where it was like, I said once I hit 10,000 followers on, TikTok, I'm going to go have a club weekend. And then I had a couple other goals where it was like, okay, I'm going to go to EDC and, I'm going to get my friends an Airbnb. I'm going to go to Paradise Blue in Cancun. I'm going to do something. I'm going to say, I'm going to set this goal and this is my reward. That is so important to develop that habit.
You know what? While analyzing this on the other side, like having people or friends, new friends that kind of pull this out of you is very beneficial and does kind of boil back down to the circle because like my other older friends, I guess you could say, or like other friend groups that I have aren't pulling, picking me apart, pulling shit out of me like that. And that's something that I do value.
Mm-hmm. So if you keep, and I've been there, take my advice. If you keep working the way that you are without celebrating, you're going to be probably dead by 35.
Yeah, but then
you're going to have a heart attack.
Also,
you're going to just be a horrible, miserable human being.
There's a part of that, but then again, I'll say it again as well because I was the girl that was working 6-7 days a week before I went to Thailand. I worked 7 days a week for 3 months. Mm-hmm. I didn't have a day off unless it rained on a Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday when I worked parasailing. So I get it, but being able to unplug, looking back, I didn't necessarily appreciate it in the moment because I'm sitting there like, oh, I need to do this, I need to do that. But then it got me, started loosening me up a little bit to getting used to celebrating a little more. And looking back, it was really rewarding.
Well, and I love what Justin said because I'll do the same thing where I have goals and I'm like, I'm not celebrating until I hit that goal.
Yeah. Celebrating. Stop partying and celebrate.
When you get that mindset of you have something that you really want, you're like, I want to do that, I want to do this, I want to do that. You will reach those goals that you set for yourself faster because you'll be that much more motivated. But also it helps to have the friend group because when Justin and I started the Goal Getters, I mean, we were meeting once a week and we were talking about, okay, what goals do you have set? Okay, how have you come? How well have you done on hitting those this week? What pitfalls have you maybe run into? How can we help you cross those? Like, what can we do to help you hit those goals faster? I think when you surround yourself with the right group of people, like you said, they'll not only bring those good things out of you, but they'll also help you get to those goals even faster.
It's accurate. It really is. It's contagious. Look at Jesse for prime example. He's an animal right now.
Literally.
He is an animal. He's working night and day.
I think he's still down there filming.
I hope he is. He's been sitting up till like 3-4 o'clock in the morning editing videos and researching. Like he is just fired up and it's so contagious.
But why do you think that is? Look at the friend group he's hanging around.
Yeah.
That's the thing is like we are doing goals that he never even thought was possible. He said that to me. He said that he's like, I never would have even imagined the things that we're doing were even in our capability.
It's like have you heard the story of the 4-minute mile? I mean, I heard Tate say this, but like it literally plays into this. Like no one had ever thought a 4-minute mile was possible until one person did it. And then that next year, 100 people did it.
Damn,
I mean, I don't know if that's the exact statistic, but like other people did it after that. Yeah. So it's just like, you see it's possible, then you're like, holy shit, I can do it too.
Yeah, I think that's why it's really important not to get your thought process on what everybody else is doing. It's what's undoable. And that's the coolest thing to me, thinking about like Edison creating the light bulb. That's so cool.
He failed like 10,000 times.
I know. And what's really cool is like in my vending machine company, the guy that I bought the business from, he took this 50-cent machine, gumball machine, and he said, I want to make it take dollar bills, something that doesn't exist out there. You can't go buy this machine. He was like, well, if we buy this dog leg and we need this piston and we connect it to here and we have to have a circuit board made, he put $100,000 into one machine to take dollar bills. And he made it happen. He created something that is so cool and it's so inspiring that I got to inherit that. Now I feel like nothing is impossible. It's insane.
And now you're growing.
Well,
rapidly.
and to kind of piggyback on the 4-minute mile. So even if you don't make it to that 4-minute mile, if you make it to 4 minutes and 15 seconds, you're
amazing.
still hitting it faster than anyone else ever has. Right. So
Aim small, miss
That's
small.
why I like setting incremental goals instead of huge, just ginormous goals. 'Cause
We
it's
set
so
smart goals.
discouraging. Like if you're a man at 18, you're like, oh, I want to be worth $50 million. It's like, good luck. And let's get to 100,000 first. Then let's worry about $1 million. Then let's worry about 10. Then let's worry about 25.
well, I think
then
it's
50.
it's important to set SMART goals. So it's SMART.
Specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time bound.
See, I think
Wow,
it's
that's-
I
I
think
like
it's
that.
also I think it's smart to set some smart goals. Don't get me wrong, like because you want to feel like you're winning. You need those small wins, but you also want to shoot
And
for
that's
the
where you
freaking
celebrate the
stars.
little wins,
Yeah, you want to
too.
shoot for the stars too. This guy that I'm seeing now, I'm telling him about my nonprofit and how I want to take it to places. It's like, yeah, like I want to get down to Florida and surrounding areas. He goes, we're taking this global. We're taking Eco Clean Marine will be recognized on a global level. And it's like, it's so cool that I can have someone like that in my life where it's like, this is
wife this dude.
this is where
Yeah.
this is where I see
my
it. And he's
gosh.
like, I hear what you're saying, but let me show
And
you.
bigger.
Let me
Yeah.
let me show you what we're really gonna do with it. And I'm like,
Wow.
So,
yeah.
So attractive.
let's piggyback off that. You've successfully found a high value guy, and you're relaxing into your feminine.
Yeah.
Do you think he's going to tolerate I'm a strong, independent babe who's at the club 2 or 3 a.m. and stuff like that?
So okay,
want
so
that, like,
I don't
you-
want to say okay. So let's
you get what I'm saying.
let's separate strong independent from at the club.
Okay.
He's definitely not going to want me at the club. Are you kidding me? And I don't want to be there. Not right now. Not from what I am. So I still consider myself a very strong, independent woman, but I'm not pronouncing that on the top of the mountains, letting everybody know.
You're still relaxing into your
And
feminine with him.
here's something that I used to do as a woman is especially owning a business and especially doing my own thing and surviving as long as I have. When somebody, let's just say if he would give me advice on my business, I would shut that shit down. I know what I'm doing. I bought a business.
Right.
Yeah, I
Right.
hear what you're saying, but no, I'm good. Thanks. And now what I've learned is openly hear what people have to say. They don't have to know if I take their advice or do, but I hear people out 100%. But also because he is at a whole other level, I can just show up at a different level too. Like I can be this strong, independent woman and he's just still huge levels above me.
Love it. So,
All right, I got to end this
Yeah,
soon.
we're gonna
The
wrap
girls
this
got
up.
to-
Crashing.
Yeah.
we're gonna wrap this
2
episode
hours
up.
and 40
42
minutes.
Yeah, we
Going
probably
off.
made 3 clips out
Yeah,
of this.
we've got a couple parts of this podcast. Well, let's round it out. You want to shout out your socials? You want to start?
Yeah. So our podcast, the Pink Flag Podcast, is on Instagram and TikTok at the Pink
Links
Flag.
below.
Yeah, at the Pink Flag Pod. We're also on YouTube, Spotify, Podchaser, and Audible. So check us out on there. Subscribe, share all the things. And my social is Emma_Knudsen.
It's the Pink Flag Pod. You can find me on there.
The socials
Okay.
are going to be down below.
Yeah,
We're gonna
absolutely.
start doing that for our podcast. We're gonna
Yeah.
have everybody's socials, and eventually we will have an Eco Clean Marine button.
We'll plug the socials at the beginning because I don't know if somebody stayed 2 hours and 40
Yeah,
minutes.
no,
to-
Yeah,
it's going to be in the
gotcha.
description or the wherever podcast listening platform you're
So
on.
personal social is going to be co_queen. And because we are representing Eco Clean today, you can find me on Eco Clean at eco.clean.marine.
Woo.
Nice. And then what you got, man? I think they know it by now.
Justin Gahano.
Justin
At
Cano.
Justin Gahano.
Gage B10.
Whoop.
Thanks.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, thanks for having us.